The massive holographic display cast an eerie blue glow across Admiral Sarah Chen's office in the underground complex of Earth Defense Command. Her dark eyes studied the incoming data streams with practiced intensity as reports flooded in from the outer solar system detection grid. The aliens had finally arrived, just as humanity had predicted they would decades ago. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the historic gravity of the moment. Lieutenant James Rodriguez, her tactical officer, stood at attention. The alien vessel emerged from FTL at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, Admiral. Initial scans confirm it matches the profile of a Galactic Confederation scout ship. They're proceeding exactly as the simulations predicted. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. For 50 years, humanity had carefully crafted its galactic appearance, maintaining the illusion of a promising, but ultimately primitive civilization, just beginning to reach for the stars. Every satellite deployment, every space mission, every communication signal had been meticulously designed to present the image of a Level 3 civilization, still grappling with basic spaceflight and nuclear fission. The reality couldn't have been more different. "Activate Protocol Veil," Sarah ordered. "Let's give our visitors exactly what they expect to see." Throughout the solar system, humanity's true technological marvels shifted into their dormant states. Quantum defense arrays disguised themselves as simple communication satellites. Temporal displacement engines powered down to appear as primitive fusion reactors. The vast networks of dimensional sensors retreated into subspace, leaving only their primitive facade visible to conventional scans. The alien vessel, designated Seeker of Truth by Earth's linguistic AI, was now approaching Mars orbit. Its sensors swept the solar system, gathering what its crew no doubt thought was comprehensive data about Earth's capabilities. "They're scanning us now," Rodriguez reported, monitoring the incoming data. "Their quantum sensors are exactly where we predicted. Not a single deviation from expected technological parameters." Sarah nodded. The Confederation's predictability had been both a blessing and a source of amusement during humanity's long preparation. Their rigid adherence to established scientific principles and technological progression made them painfully easy to anticipate. "What do you think they're seeing?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. Rodriguez pulled up a holographic representation of Earth, as seen through the alien ship's sensors, a planet still heavily dependent on fossil fuels, though making strides toward cleaner energy. Primitive satellite networks, early space stations, nuclear-powered vessels making short trips to Mars. Exactly what a Level 3 civilization should look like. The corner of Sarah's mouth twitched. If they only knew that humanity had mastered zero-point energy 2 centuries ago, or that those primitive satellites could reconfigure local spacetime at will. The nuclear vessels were real enough, but they served as convenient covers for the quantum slipstream drives that actually powered humanity's interstellar fleet. "Signal from the alien vessel," Rodriguez announced. "They're requesting first contact protocols." Sarah straightened her uniform, a modern marvel of nanotechnology that the aliens would see as simple fabric. "Time to welcome our guests. Initiate diplomatic response protocols. Let's show them exactly what they expect from a young, promising species eager to join the galactic community." As she prepared to meet the alien delegation, Sarah couldn't help but reflect on the irony of the situation. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, not out of fear or weakness, but from a position of overwhelming technological superiority. They had learned long ago that true power lay not in demonstrating strength, but in controlling how others perceive you. The aliens would discover the truth eventually, of course, but by then, they would be so deeply entrenched in diplomatic relations with Earth that their response options would be limited. It was a delicate dance of revelation and concealment, one that humanity had choreographed down to the smallest detail. "Admiral," Rodriguez called out, a hint of amusement in his voice. "They're deploying their impressive first contact vessel. Crystalline hull, gravitic drives, quantum communication arrays, all the standard Confederation technology designed to awe a primitive species." Sarah checked the readings herself and had to suppress a laugh. The Confederation's finest technology was centuries behind Earth's current capabilities, but they would play their part, act appropriately impressed, and begin the careful process of learning from their new galactic neighbors. "Well then," she said, straightening her shoulders, "let's not keep our guests waiting. It's time to show them exactly how primitive we can be." As the first contact protocols initiated, Sarah knew that this was just the beginning. Soon enough, the Confederation would learn that they hadn't discovered Earth. Earth had allowed itself to be discovered. And when that revelation finally came, the galaxy would never be the same. 3 months after first contact, Dr. Marcus Jung stood in Earth's quantum research facility deep beneath the Swiss Alps, watching with barely concealed amusement as the Confederation's leading scientists struggled to comprehend what they were witnessing. The demonstration chamber before them housed what they had been told was a prototype quantum communication device. In reality, it was decades-old technology that humanity had long since surpassed. "Impossible," muttered Chief Scientist Rickstall, their crystalline appendages trembling with excitement. "The quantum entanglement stability. It defies every known principle of particle physics." Marcus exchanged a knowing glance with Admiral Chen, who stood quietly in the corner. They had carefully calculated exactly how much to reveal in this demonstration. Enough to shock their alien visitors, but not enough to show their full capabilities. "The quantum matrix appears to be self-stabilizing," another alien scientist observed, their multiple eyes widening in disbelief. "But that would require processing power beyond current theoretical limits," Marcus offered helpfully. "Yes, we found that particular obstacle quite challenging to overcome. Took us years to crack it." What he didn't mention was that the computer they were using to demonstrate this breakthrough was about as sophisticated as a pocket calculator compared to Earth's actual quantum processing networks. The chamber hummed as the device activated, establishing instantaneous communication across the solar system. To the Confederation scientists, this was revolutionary. To humanity, it was practically antiquated. "The implications are staggering," Rickstall continued. "With this technology, the delay in interstellar communications could be reduced from days to minutes." Admiral Chen stepped forward, her expression carefully neutral. "Actually, we've already achieved real-time communication across several light years." She paused, letting that sink in. "Would you like to see?" The alien scientists fell silent, their earlier excitement giving way to something approaching fear. They had come expecting to guide a young species into the galactic community. Instead, they were beginning to realize they might be dealing with something far beyond their understanding. Marcus activated the facility's main display, showing a live feed from a quantum probe at the edge of human space. The aliens watched in stunned silence as data streamed in with zero latency, defying everything they thought they knew about physics. "But this changes everything," one of the aliens stammered. "The mathematical principles alone are quite elegant once you move beyond conventional quantum mechanics," Marcus completed. "We found traditional approaches too limiting, so we had to develop some new mathematical frameworks." What he didn't reveal was that humanity had developed those frameworks over a century ago, and had since moved on to mathematical concepts that would make these aliens' heads spin. Admiral Chen watched the aliens carefully, measuring their reactions. This was a crucial moment in humanity's carefully orchestrated revelation of their capabilities. Too much too fast could cause panic. Too little would fail to make the necessary impact. "Of course," she added casually, "this is just one application. We'd found quantum mechanics particularly useful in defensive systems." The alien's attention snapped to her immediately. "Defensive systems?" Rickstall asked, trying to keep their voice steady. "Perhaps a small demonstration," Marcus suggested, knowing this had been planned from the start. With a subtle gesture, he activated one of the facility's older defense grids. The air shimmered as quantum fields materialized, creating layered barriers that could deflect everything from kinetic weapons to temporal attacks. By manipulating quantum states at a macro level, Marcus explained, deliberately understating the technology's capabilities. We can create defensive fields that adapt to any form of attack. The quantum processing allows for reaction times measured in Planck intervals. The alien scientists huddled together, speaking rapidly in their native language. Their universal translators were active, but they seemed to have forgotten this fact in their excitement and concern. They are far beyond where they should be, one whispered. This level of quantum manipulation, it should have taken centuries to develop. The Confederation Council must be informed immediately, another added. If they have achieved this level of quantum control, who knows what else they're capable of? Marcus and Admiral Chen pretended not to hear this exchange, but they shared a subtle look of satisfaction. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The Confederation was beginning to understand that humanity wasn't just another emerging species to be guided and controlled. Would you like to examine our quantum mathematics research? Marcus offered innocently. We've compiled some basic principles that might interest your scientists. Basic principles that would completely revolutionize the Confederation's understanding of quantum physics, though he didn't mention that part. As the alien scientists eagerly gathered around his workstation, Marcus pulled up equations that would keep them busy for years. These weren't humanity's most advanced formulas, not even close, but they were enough to demonstrate that humanity had taken quantum science in directions the Confederation had never imagined. Admiral Chen watched the proceedings with satisfaction. Phase 2 of humanity's revelation was proceeding perfectly. Soon, they would begin introducing even more advanced concepts, carefully measuring the Confederation's reactions at each step. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity hadn't just mastered quantum mechanics, they had fundamentally reinvented it. And this was just the beginning of the revelations to come. Fleet Commander Nara watched from the bridge of the Confederation's most advanced stealth vessel as it glided silently through Earth's solar system. After the shocking quantum technology revelations, the Confederation Council had authorized a covert surveillance mission to assess humanity's true capabilities. Their ship, the Silent Whisper, represented the pinnacle of Confederation stealth technology: zero emissions, perfect sensor deflection, and complete visual camouflage. "Status report," she ordered, her bioluminescent patterns dimmed to their lowest setting. "All stealth systems functioning at peak efficiency, Commander," her tactical officer reported. "Earth's primitive detection grid shows no sign of our presence." Nara felt a flutter of satisfaction. Even if humans had somehow mastered advanced quantum mechanics, surely they couldn't detect a vessel that was, for all practical purposes, invisible to the known universe. The satisfaction lasted exactly 3 seconds. "Greetings, Silent Whisper." A calm human voice transmitted directly to their bridge, bypassing every encryption system they possessed. "This is Earth Defense Command. You're currently violating restricted space. Please hold position for escort." The bridge crew froze in stunned silence. It was Lieutenant Colonel Jack Harper's holographic image that appeared before them, his uniform crisp and his expression professionally neutral. "How?" Nayara began, before catching herself. "This is impossible. You can't detect us." "Actually," Harper replied with a slight smile, "we've been tracking you since you entered the Oort cloud. Interesting design, by the way. The phase-shifted quantum wake is quite clever, though a bit outdated by our standards." As if to emphasize his point, 3 human vessels suddenly materialized around the Silent Whisper. They hadn't decloaked or dropped any kind of stealth field. They had simply chosen to become visible. "Those ships," Nayara's science officer stammered, checking his instruments. "They're not generating any quantum signature at all. No emissions, no wake patterns, nothing. They're not even registering as voids in space." "Shadow protocol architecture," Harper explained casually. "We found traditional stealth technology too limiting. Why hide your presence when you can simply choose not to interact with conventional spacetime?" The implication staggered Nayara. The humans weren't just hiding their ships, they were selectively removing them from normal physics itself. "Perhaps a demonstration is in order," Harper continued. With your permission, we'd like to show you something interesting about your stealth systems. Before Nyara could respond, her ship's sensors suddenly came alive with new data. The solar system around them was transformed. What they had thought was empty space was actually filled with human vessels, defense platforms, and monitoring systems, all operating on principles that made them not just invisible, but fundamentally undetectable by conventional means. We call it quantum state manipulation, Harper explained. Rather than trying to hide from sensors, we simply exist in a state that your sensors don't know how to perceive. Think of it as teaching light and energy to look the other way. Impossible, Nyara's science officer whispered. The power requirements alone would be astronomical using conventional physics, Harper agreed. Fortunately, we found some shortcuts. Your stealth systems attempt to bend light and energy around your ship. Ours simply suggest to the universe that we're not really here. As if to demonstrate, one of the human escort vessels phased through a nearby asteroid, not by breaking it apart or teleporting, but by temporarily choosing not to interact with its matter. Of course, Harper added, this is just our basic stealth technology. We find it useful for patrol vessels and routine security. Would you like to see what our actual military ships can do? The question sent a chill through Mara's neural clusters. If this was their basic technology, what were they capable of at full military readiness? I believe the Confederation Council would be very interested in discussing technological exchange, she managed, trying to maintain some diplomatic dignity. Harper's expression softened slightly. That's why we let you detect this demonstration, Commander. Consider it an invitation to a more honest dialogue about humanity's capabilities. As her crew struggled to process what they were seeing, Nyara realized the true extent of their miscalculation. They hadn't snuck into Earth's solar system. They had been allowed in, guided to exactly where the humans wanted them, to see exactly what humanity wanted to reveal. Your escort will guide you to our diplomatic station, Harper concluded. And Commander, next time, just ask. We find open communication much more productive than these little surveillance exercises. As the silent whisper was led away by ships that defied physics itself, Nyara couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy's balance of power had just shifted dramatically. The humans hadn't just mastered stealth technology, they had transcended the very concept of detection and concealment. The real question was, what else were they capable of? Somehow, Nyara suspected they were only beginning to scratch the surface of humanity's true capabilities. General Vaxter of the Confederation Defense Force stood in Earth's Temporal Defense Command Center, struggling to process what he was witnessing. Through the quantum-reinforced observation window, he watched as human soldiers engaged in what they casually termed routine temporal combat drills. Captain Maya Patel, his human liaison, stood beside him, monitoring the exercise with practiced ease. In the chamber below, soldiers phased in and out of normal time, executing maneuvers that should have been impossible according to every known law of physics. Your troops, Vaxter began, his translation unit struggling to find appropriate words. They're moving through time itself. Temporal displacement tactics, Maya explained, as if discussing basic training protocols. We found conventional warfare too limiting when your opponent can simply see your attacks coming. Much more effective to engage from multiple temporal vectors simultaneously. As if to demonstrate her point, a squad of human soldiers executed what they called a temporal pincer movement. They split into 3 teams, one moving forward in time, one backward, and one remaining in the present, coordinating their actions across different time streams to neutralize their training targets. But the paradoxes, Vaxter protested. The causality violations. Maya smiled. That's where most species get stuck. They try to prevent paradoxes. We learn to weaponize them. The display screen showed multiple temporal tracks simultaneously. Human soldiers were coordinating with past and future versions of themselves, executing strategies that had both already happened and were yet to occur. We call it quantum temporal synchronization, Maya continued. Instead of trying to maintain a single, stable timeline, we learn to operate in probability clouds. Our soldiers don't just train for what will happen. They train for what might happen, what has happened, and what never happened. A sudden alert drew their attention. On the main display, a simulated enemy force had appeared in the training ground. The human soldiers responded instantly, but not in any way Baxter could have predicted. Some troops phased slightly out of sync with normal time, becoming ghost-like figures that conventional weapons couldn't touch. Others created localized time loops, trapping opponents in moments that repeated endlessly. Still others simply rewound time whenever an attack came close, making them effectively impossible to hit. This is just basic temporal combat training, Maya noted, watching Baxter's growing discomfort. Wait until you see what our advanced units can do with dimensional shearing. Dimensional. Baxter's universal translator actually stuttered. You're not just manipulating time. Time and space are the same thing, Maya replied. Once you understand how to fold one, the other follows naturally. Watch this. She keyed a command into her neural interface. Below, the training ground shifted. Reality itself seemed to bend as human soldiers moved not just through time, but between dimensional planes. They stepped between parallel realities as easily as walking through a door. We found that temporal warfare is much more effective when you can attack from alternative dimensions, Maya explained. Hard to defend against something that's hitting you from a reality where your shields never existed. Baxter watched as human troops demonstrated what they called cross-dimensional temporal assault patterns. They would phase into alternative timelines, outflank their opponents through parallel dimensions, then synchronize their attacks across multiple realities simultaneously. Your entire species can do this, he asked, dreading the answer. Oh, this is just the military application, Maya replied. You should see what our civilian researchers are doing with temporal mechanics. They're working on some fascinating theories about retroactive causality manipulation. The implications hit Baxter like a quantum surge. Humanity hadn't just mastered time travel. They had turned it into a basic tactical doctrine. Every human soldier was potentially infinite soldiers, attacking from every possible moment in time, coordinating across dimensions that shouldn't exist. The Confederation's strategic analysts, he said slowly, they believe your quantum technology was your greatest achievement. But this is why we kept it quiet for so long, Maya finished. Most species have trouble accepting that time isn't as fixed as they think it is. We found it better to ease people into these concepts gradually. A new alert sounded, and Maya checked her display. Ah, perfect timing. Would you like to observe our temporal fleet exercises? We're testing some new concepts in trans-dimensional carrier operations. Baxter wanted to refuse, but he knew his duty. The Confederation needed to understand exactly what they were dealing with. As he followed Maya to the Fleet Command Center, he couldn't shake the feeling that humanity's mastery of time itself was probably still not their most impressive capability. He was right. Temporal warfare was just the beginning. The real revelations were yet to come. The Galactic Confederation's High Council chamber had never been so silent. Dr. Elena Santos stood calmly before the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds, her neural interface subtly glowing as she prepared to reveal humanity's final and most profound technological achievement. Distinguished members of the Council, she began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. You've seen our quantum technologies, our stealth capabilities, and our temporal warfare systems. But these are merely tools. Today, we show you what humanity has truly become. With a thought, she activated the chamber's holographic systems. The air filled with streams of consciousness, literal streams of human thought made visible through quantum visualization technology. Humanity has evolved, Elena continued. We are no longer bound by individual consciousness or physical form. We have transcended the boundaries between mind and machine, between thought and reality. Above them, the streams of consciousness began to merge and separate, forming complex patterns that defied conventional understanding. Each stream represented thousands of human minds working in perfect harmony, sharing thoughts and memories across vast distances instantly. Supreme Counselor Zixtel leaned forward, their crystalline form vibrating with tension. What are we seeing? The future, Elena replied. Or rather, one of many possible futures. We call it the collective quantum consciousness network. Every human mind connected, yet individually distinct, operating across multiple dimensions and time streams simultaneously. She gestured, and the display shifted to show human military operations. Soldiers moved with impossible coordination, their minds linked across space and time. Fleet commanders directed battles while simultaneously existing in multiple temporal states, analyzing every possible outcome before it occurred. Our neural interfaces don't just connect us to machines, Elena explained. They connect us to the quantum fabric of reality itself. Each human consciousness exists as a quantum state function, able to collapse into multiple possibilities at will. The alien council members watched in stunned silence as she demonstrated. Elena's consciousness visibly split into multiple quantum states, each version of her existing simultaneously in slightly different realities. This is how we achieved our advances in temporal combat, she continued, her multiple versions speaking in perfect harmony. When your consciousness exists across multiple timelines simultaneously, coordinating temporal warfare becomes instinctive. But the energy requirements, one council member protested weakly, are irrelevant when you exist partially outside conventional spacetime. All versions of Elena responded. We found that consciousness itself is a quantum phenomenon. Once we understood that, everything else followed naturally. The display shifted again, showing vast networks of human minds working in concert. Scientists spanning multiple dimensions collaborated on problems that couldn't exist in single reality. Military strategists planned operations that unfolded across parallel timelines. Children learned by connecting directly to the sum of human knowledge and experience. This is why we kept our true capabilities hidden for so long, Elena explained, her quantum states remerging into a single form. Most species try to adapt their consciousness to their technology. We adapted our technology to our consciousness, then transcended both. Supreme Counselor Zixtel rose slowly. Dr. Santos, what you're describing, it's not just technological advancement. It's evolution, Elena finished. Humanity hasn't just developed new technologies. We've become something new, something that exists simultaneously as matter, energy, and consciousness. We can transfer our minds instantly across galaxies, exist in multiple time streams, and manipulate reality through pure thought. The council chamber erupted in worried murmurs. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just more advanced than they had imagined. They had fundamentally transcended what it meant to be a physical species. We're not sharing this to frighten you, Elena assured them, her voice gentle but firm. We're sharing it because we want to help you achieve the same. Evolution shouldn't be a solitary journey. She raised her hand, and the holographic display showed something new. Educational programs, technological frameworks, and development paths designed to help other species achieve what humanity had become. This is our true gift to the galaxy, she concluded. Not our technology, not our military power, but the path to transcendence itself. We've spent centuries preparing not just to reveal ourselves, but to guide others toward what we have become. As the council members stared at the offered knowledge, Elena smiled. Humanity had hidden its true nature not out of fear or suspicion, but because they needed to be ready. Ready not just to reveal their power, but to help lift the entire galaxy into a new age of existence. The age of singular, physical beings was ending. The age of quantum consciousness had begun, and humanity, in all its infinite variations across time and space, would lead the way. The universe would never be the same. And that was exactly as humanity had planned it.